The year was 2347, and humans had finally reached the stars. They were not alone. 12 alien species had formed something called the Galactic Coalition, and now humanity was part of it. Young humans trained alongside aliens on massive ships that traveled between worlds. It was a new age. An age of wonder and danger. Kang Taeho was 14 years old. He was small for his age, with thin arms and a quiet voice. But his eyes were sharp, and his heart was strong. He had no parents. They had died when he was very young, and he had grown up at the United Earth Academy. The other children there had families who visited on holidays. Taeho had no one, but he was not truly alone. Beak came into his life when Taeho was 7 years old. The Wolverine was just a pup then, no bigger than a house cat. The academy had a program for orphan children. They believed that bonding with an animal could help heal lonely hearts. Most children chose dogs or cats. But when Taeho walked into the selection room, he saw the small Wolverine sitting alone in the corner. The other animals avoided it. The handlers warned him that Wolverines were difficult. They were wild. They did not bond easily. Taeho sat down next to the creature and held out his hand. The Wolverine sniffed his fingers. Then it climbed into his lap and fell asleep. From that day forward, they were never apart. Now, 7 years later, Taeho stood on the deck of a ship called the Horizon's Edge. It was enormous. The hull stretched in every direction, filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some had scales. Some had too many eyes. Some floated instead of walked. Taeho tried not to stare. He was a cadet now. He had to be professional. Beak walked beside him. The Wolverine had grown large and powerful. His fur was dark brown, almost black, and his claws clicked against the metal floor. The aliens watched him with nervous eyes. They had never seen such a creature. On Earth, Wolverines were known for their strength and their fury. They could fight bears. They could survive anywhere. And they never, ever gave up. A tall alien approached them. He belonged to a species called the Veleth. They looked almost human, but their skin was pale blue and their eyes had no pupils. Just flat, silver discs that reflected everything like mirrors. "You are the human cadet," the Veleth said. His voice was soft and cold. "I am Koru. I will be your guide during this mission." Taeho bowed his head slightly. "Thank you. I am Kang Taeho. And this is Beak." Koru looked down at the Wolverine. His silver eyes showed nothing. "We do not understand why humans bring beasts onto ships. It seems inefficient." "He is not a beast," Taeho said quietly. "He is my family." Koru tilted his head. He did not understand. The Veleth did not have families the way humans did. They did not bond with other creatures. To them, such things were primitive, weakness. But Koru was curious. Very curious. The first weeks on the ship passed quickly. Taeho trained hard. He learned to read star maps. He learned to work the communication systems. He ran drills with the other cadets. Most of them were aliens who did not speak to him much. They found him strange, too emotional, too attached to his animal. But Taeho did not mind. He had Beak every night. The Wolverine slept outside his door. When Taeho had nightmares about his parents, Beak would push his way inside and press his warm body against the boy's chest. When Taeho felt alone in the vast emptiness of space, he would bury his face in Beak's thick fur and remember that he was loved. "You are the only family I have," Taeho whispered one night. "Promise me you will never leave." Beak licked his face. It was his way of saying yes. Ko, are you watched them often? He asked questions about human bonding, about loyalty, about love. Taeho thought he was just curious. He thought Koru was becoming his friend. He was wrong. Captain Yoonhana was a human officer on the ship. She was in charge of the Cadet exchange program. She was a tall woman with short black hair and a scar across her left cheek. She had fought in the border wars 10 years ago. She had seen terrible things, but she had a kind heart beneath her hard exterior. She noticed how Koru watched the boy. "Be careful around the Velith," she told Teho one day. "They are not like us. They do not feel the way we feel." "Koru seems nice," Teho said. Hana shook her head. "Nice is a mask. The Velith wear many masks. Remember that." Teho nodded, but he did not truly believe her. Koru brought him gifts, showed him the ship's secrets, talked to him when no one else would. How could someone so kind be dangerous? 3 weeks into the mission, the ship docked at a Velith research station. It floated in the darkness of space like a silver spider. Koru invited Teho to tour the station. "It will be educational," Koru said. "You will see wonders." Teho was excited. But there was one problem. No Earth fauna beyond the docking bay, the station rules said. Beak could not come. The Wolverine growled when Teho tried to leave. He blocked the door. He bared his teeth. "I will be back soon," Teho promised. He knelt down and hugged Beak tight. "Wait for me. I will always come back to you." He locked Beak in his quarters and followed Koru onto the station dot. It was the worst mistake of his life. Beak sat alone in the dark room. He could not see his human. He could not smell him. Something was wrong. The Wolverine knew it in his bones. He began to pace. Back and forth. Back and forth. His claws scraped the floor. His heart pounded in his chest. Hours passed. Teho did not return. And then Beak started to howl. The Velith station was cold. The walls were white and smooth like bones. The lights were too bright. Teho followed Koru through long hallways that all looked the same. He tried to remember the path back, but the station was like a maze. "What do you research here?" Teho asked. "Life," Koru answered. "We study life in all its forms." They passed rooms with thick glass windows. Inside, Teho saw machines and tables. Some tables had straps on them. He felt a strange feeling in his stomach, like something was wrong. But he pushed the feeling away. Koru was his friend. This was just a science station. Then they turned a corner, and Teho stopped walking. Behind a massive window, he saw rows and rows of tanks. Inside the tanks floated creatures. Some looked like fish. Some looked like insects. Some looked almost human. They were floating in blue liquid, their eyes closed, tubes connected to their bodies. "What is this?" Teho whispered. "Specimens," Koru said simply. "We collect them from across the galaxy. Species that are unique, special. We study them to understand how life works." Teho felt sick. "Are they alive?" "Some are. Some are not. It depends on what we need to learn." Teho took a step back. His heart was beating fast now. This was not right. This was not science. This was something terrible. "I want to go back to the ship," he said. Koru turned to look at him. His silver eyes were flat and empty. "I am afraid that is not possible, Cadet Kang." Before Teho could run, he felt a sharp pain in his neck. He reached up and found a small needle sticking out of his skin. The world began to spin. His legs felt weak. He fell to his knees. "Humans are remarkable," Koru said, kneeling down beside him. His voice was calm, like he was discussing the weather. "Your bodies can survive extreme heat and cold. You can run for hours without stopping. You form bonds with other creatures that change your very chemistry. We have wanted to study your kind for a long time." "Why?" Teho managed to say. His tongue felt thick and heavy. "To understand. To use. Your species has something we do not. We want to find it. Take it, Make it ours. The last thing Taeho saw before the darkness took him was Koro's silver eyes staring down at him without a trace of feeling. Back on the horizon's edge, Beak knew. He could not explain how. He did not think in words like humans did. But deep in his chest, in the place where his bond with Taeho lived, he felt something snap. Like a rope pulled too tight. His human was in danger. His human was afraid. His human needed him. The Wolverine threw himself at the door. Again and again. The metal bent but did not break. He clawed at the walls. He bit at the locks. Blood dripped from his paws, but he did not stop. Outside, the crew heard the noise. They gathered around the door, frightened. Wolverines were dangerous creatures. No one wanted to open that door. What is wrong with it? An alien officer asked. The human boy, another said. They are bonded. The animal knows something is wrong. Inside the room, Beak found a weak point in the wall. A ventilation shaft. He tore the cover off with his teeth and squeezed his body through the narrow space. His fur scraped against metal. His muscles screamed in pain. But he kept going. He emerged in a hallway and ran. The crew shouted and jumped out of his way. Beak ignored them all. He followed his nose. He followed his heart. He ran to the airlock where Taeho had left the ship. The door was closed. Beyond it was only empty space. The Vela station was gone. It had already jumped away, traveling faster than light to some distant corner of the galaxy. Beak stood at the airlock door and stared out at the stars. He did not move. He did not make a sound. His dark eyes reflected the distant lights of a million suns. Captain Yoon-hana pushed through the crowd of crew members. She saw the Wolverine standing there, perfectly still. She saw the blood on his paws. She saw the look in his eyes. She had seen that look before. In soldiers who had lost their brothers. In mothers who had lost their children. It was the look of someone who would do anything, go anywhere, fight anyone to get back what they had lost. What happened? She demanded. The Vela station disconnected and jumped away, an officer reported. The human cadet was on it. He has not returned. Hana's blood went cold. She grabbed her communicator and called the station. There was no answer. She tried again. Nothing. She contacted Coalition Command and demanded information. The Velith representatives said there must be some mistake. They said the cadet never boarded the station. They said he must have gotten lost on the ship. They were lying. Hana knew it. She knelt down beside Beak. The Wolverine did not look at her. He just kept staring at the stars. We will find him, she said softly. I promise you. We will bring him home. Beak made a low sound deep in his throat. It was not a growl. It was not a whimper. It was something older. Something primal. A sound that said, I am coming. No matter how far. No matter how long. I am coming. In a cold laboratory on the Velith ship. Taeho woke up. He was strapped to a table. Machines beeped around him. Velith scientists stood nearby, studying screens and taking notes. He was afraid. More afraid than he had ever been in his life. But he did not scream. He did not beg. He closed his eyes and thought of Beak. He remembered the warmth of his fur, the sound of his breathing, the feeling of being safe and loved. He will find me, Taeho whispered to himself. He will never stop looking. He will come. The Velith heard him and exchanged glances. They did not understand. How could a beast find anything across the vastness of space? It was impossible, illogical. But Taeho knew something they did not. Wolverines never give up. Never did, and neither did the humans who loved them. Captain Yoon-hana waited 2 weeks for the coalition to act. She sent messages every day. She demanded investigations. She showed them the evidence. The Cadet was missing. The Velith were lying. Something terrible was happening, but the coalition moved slowly. The Velith were powerful. No one wanted to make them angry. Meetings were scheduled. Reports were written. Nothing was done. Hana was done waiting. She found the crew she needed in a small bar on a trading station. Park M1 was a pilot. He was young, maybe 25, with messy hair and a crooked smile. He flew a fast ship called the Space Orcs. People said he was reckless. People said he had a death wish. Hana thought he was exactly what she needed. Cho Subin was a medic. She was calm and quiet, with steady hands and sharp eyes. She had worked in war zones. She had seen the worst things the galaxy had to offer. Nothing scared her anymore. No Donghayan was a former soldier. He was big, with a face covered in old scars. He had fought the Velith in a border conflict years ago. He had watched them do terrible things. He had been waiting for a chance to fight them again. Hana told them about Taeho, about the kidnapping, about the lies, about the boy who had no one in the world except a Wolverine. The coalition will not help, she said. This mission is not official. It is probably illegal. We might not come back. Ji-won laughed. I was not planning to live forever anyway. Subin nodded slowly. I am tired of watching good people suffer while others do nothing. Donghayan cracked his knuckles. Tell me where to find the Velith. I will handle the rest. They had a crew. Now they needed a tracker. Back on the horizon's edge, Beak had stopped eating. He paced his room day and night. He would not let anyone near him. The ship's doctors said he was dying, not from sickness or injury, from grief, from the broken bond. When Hana came for him, the crew warned her to stay back. The Wolverine was dangerous. He had already hurt 3 people who tried to touch him. Hana walked into the room alone. Beak stood in the corner, his fur matted and his eyes wild. He growled at her. I know where they took him, Hana said quietly. Not exactly, but I know how to follow. I need your help. The growling stopped. Beak tilted his head. You can smell him, can you not? You can track him. Across stations. Across planets. Across the whole galaxy if you have to. Beak took a step forward. Come with me, Hana said. Help me find him. Bring him home. The Wolverine walked to her side. He pressed his head against her hand. It was the first time he had let anyone touch him since Taeho disappeared. The hunt began. The Space Orcs was a small ship, fast and quiet. It slipped through space like a shadow. Hana sat in the captain's chair with Beak at her feet. Ji-won flew the ship with casual skill, dancing between asteroid fields and slipping past patrol vessels. Subin set up a medical bay in case they found Taeho hurt. Donghayan cleaned his weapons and waited. Their first stop was a trading station where the Velith ship had refueled. The station was crowded with aliens of every kind. Hana led Beak through the chaos. The Wolverine sniffed the air, the ground, every surface he could reach. Then he stopped. His body went stiff. He had found something. Hana knelt down and saw what Beak was staring at. A tiny thread. Blue fabric. The same color as the cadet uniform Taeho had been wearing. He was here, Hana said. Her heart pounded. They brought him through here. Beak was already moving. He followed the trail through the station, around corners, past shops and bars, until he reached the docking port. The trail ended there. The Velith ship had left days ago, but now they knew which direction it had gone. They followed. Station after station. Planet after planet. Each time, Beak found something. A drop of blood on a floor. A handprint on a wall. Chemical traces of Velith sedatives that Taeho's body was fighting off. The Wolverine never got tired. He never gave up. He moved through crowds like a ghost, his nose to the ground, His eyes burning with purpose. G-1 watched the Wolverine work and shook his head in amazement. I have seen tracking dogs. I have seen hunting machines. I have never seen anything like this. On Earth, Wolverines are called the most stubborn animals alive, Hana said. They fight bears. They walk through snowstorms. They never stop until they get what they want. What does this one want? Hana looked at Beak, his family back. Weeks passed. They were always close, but never close enough. The Velith kept moving Taeho from ship to ship, station to station. They knew someone was following, but they did not understand how. On the Velith science vessel, Karu studied the reports with confusion. The human boy should have been forgotten by now, lost in the bureaucracy of the coalition. But someone was following them. Someone was finding traces no scanner could detect. How? Karu asked his fellow scientists. How are they tracking us? No one had an answer. In his cell, Taeho heard rumors from the guards. Someone was coming. Someone was following a trail across the stars. He smiled through his pain and exhaustion. Beak, he whispered. Good boy. Keep coming. I am waiting. The Wolverine ran through the galaxy like a dark wind. Nothing could stop him. Nothing could slow him down. He was not hunting for food or territory. He was hunting for love. And that made him unstoppable. Hana watched him pace the ship at night, staring out at the stars. She thought about what humans had brought to the galaxy. Not the best weapons. Not the fastest ships. Not the smartest minds. They had brought their hearts. Their bonds. Their stubborn, impossible loyalty. And right now, that loyalty was tearing through space like a force of nature, following a trail of hope toward a boy who had no one else. We are close, Hana said to her crew. I can feel it. Beak lifted his head and howled. The sound echoed through the ship and out into the endless dark. We are coming. Stories travel fast in the galaxy. Faster than ships. Faster than light. And the story of the human boy and his Wolverine spread like fire. In bars and trading posts, in ships and stations, people whispered about it. A human cadet stolen by the Velith. A beast tracking him across the stars. A crew of humans who refused to give up, even when their own government would not help them. At first, the aliens laughed. Humans were strange creatures, emotional, irrational. They bonded with animals like children bonded with toys. It was foolish. It was weak. But as the weeks went by, the laughter stopped. A merchant named Trell found Hana at a fuel station near the border territories. He was Corvani, a species that looked like tall insects with too many arms. His shell was old and cracked, and his voice was rough like stones scraping together. You are the ones hunting the Velith, Trell said. It was not a question. Hana put her hand on her weapon. What do you want? Trell made a clicking sound that might have been a laugh. I want help. I have information. I know a route the Velith used to move cargo they do not want found. Why would you help us? The old merchant was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a softer voice. I had a bonded creature once. Long ago. My kind does not do this often. We think it is primitive. But I found a small creature on a dead world. It followed me home. It slept beside me for 30 years. He paused. His many eyes looked far away. When it died, I understood something. The bond was not weakness. It was the only thing that made me feel truly alive. He looked at Beak, who sat beside Hana like a shadow. Your beast is dying slowly. I can see it. But he keeps going. For love. That is the strongest thing in the universe. He gave them the route. He refused payment. More help came. A group of human traders gave them fuel and supplies. A pilot from the coalition secretly shared patrol schedules so they could slip past checkpoints. An engineer fixed their ship's engine and would not take money. "We heard about you," the engineer said. "We wanted to be part of the story." And then came Myra. She was Velith. But she was different. Her silver eyes were dull and tired, and there were scars on her arms where she had tried to remove her own identification marks. She contacted Hana through a secure channel and asked to meet. Hana almost refused. How could she trust a Velith? But something in Myra's voice made her listen. They met on a small moon, in a cave where no one could see them. Myra came along. She moved like someone who was always afraid. "I was a scientist," Myra said. "I worked in the research division. I saw what they did to other species. I saw the experiments, the pain, the death. I spoke against it, and they cast me out." "Why should I believe you?" Hana asked. "Because I know where they are taking the boy." Myra held out a small data chip. "There is a hidden laboratory in the outer veil. Uncharted space. No laws, no rules. That is where they do their worst work." Hana took the chip. "Why are you helping us?" Myra was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I watched a mother creature cry out for her child as we took it. The sound haunted me. It haunts me still. I cannot undo what I have done. But maybe I can stop them from doing it again." The coordinates led to the darkest corner of the galaxy. The outer veil was a region of dead stars and empty space. Ships disappeared there. No one came back. Ha-Na gathered her crew and told them the truth. "This is where it ends," she said. "The Velith laboratory is in the veil. If we go in, we might not come out. This mission is not just illegal anymore. It is suicide." She looked at each of them. G1, who smiled like everything was a game. Subin, who had already started packing her medical kit. Donghyun, who was loading his weapons with quiet determination. "I will not order anyone to come," Hana said. "This is your choice." G1 stood up. "Captain, I have been looking for a good reason to die. This is better than good." Subin checked her supplies. "Someone needs to keep you all alive." "I am coming." Donghyun slammed a magazine into his rifle. "I have waited years to hurt the Velith. Do not try to stop me." They were ready. Beak had grown thin. His fur was falling out in patches. His eyes were sunken, but he still walked. He still tracked. He still refused to stop. Subin examined him one night when he was too tired to resist. She connected him to scanners and read the results. Then she read them again because she did not believe them. "His body is falling apart," she told him quietly. "His stress hormones should have killed him weeks ago. But his brain is producing chemicals I have never seen before. His body is breaking down, but his mind keeps pushing forward. What is keeping him alive?" Subin looked at the Wolverine, who was staring out the window at the approaching darkness of the outer veil. "Love," she said. "His brain is literally running on love. It is producing compounds that should not exist. It is as if his entire body has decided that death is not allowed until he finds that boy." Hana knelt beside Beak and stroked his matted fur. "Not much longer," she whispered. "We are almost there." Beak turned his head and looked at her. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes. Understanding, gratitude, determination. Then he looked back at the stars as the Siorek entered the outer veil. The crew fell silent. The stars disappeared. The darkness closed in. Only the ship's lights pushed back the empty black. Somewhere ahead, a boy was waiting. He was alone and afraid, but he believed in something impossible. He believed his family was coming for him, and he was right. The Velith laboratory floated in the darkness like a metal spider. It was hidden inside an asteroid field, surrounded by rocks and silence. No signals came from it. No lights showed from outside. It was designed to be invisible. a place where terrible things could happen without anyone knowing. The Space Orc moved slowly through the asteroids. G1's hands were steady on the controls. He had never flown in space this dark. It felt like swimming through ink. "There," Hana said, pointing at the screen. "That is it." The laboratory was bigger than they expected. It had multiple wings and docking bays and long corridors that stretched in every direction. Finding one boy inside would be like finding a single grain of sand on a beach. But they had Beak. The Wolverine stood at the airlock, his body tense and ready. His nose twitched. His eyes burned. After all the weeks and all the light years, he was finally close. He could feel it. He could smell it. The ship docked quietly at an abandoned bay. The crew moved out in formation. Donghain led with his rifle raised. Su Bin followed with her medical bag. Hana stayed close to Beak, letting him guide the way. The Wolverine did not hesitate. He ran into the station like he had been there 100 times before. His claws scraped against the floor. His body was weak and thin, but his purpose was strong. They met Velith guards in the first corridor. Donghain dealt with them quickly and quietly. More came. He dealt with them too. The alarm did not sound. The Velith did not expect anyone to find this place. They were not prepared. Su-Bin hacked door controls. G1 watched their escape route. Hana followed Beak deeper and deeper into the station. They passed laboratories filled with tanks and machines. They passed cells holding creatures that cried out in strange languages. Hana wanted to save them all, but she could not. Not yet. First, she had to save one boy. Beak stopped in front of a heavy door. He clawed at it, leaving deep marks in the metal. He threw himself against it again and again, his body shaking with exhaustion and desperation. Donghain planted a small explosive on the lock. Everyone stepped back. The door blew open. Inside was a small white room. And in the center of that room, strapped to a table, was Kang Tae-Ho. He was thin. So thin, his skin was pale, and dark circles surrounded his eyes. Tubes and wires connected him to machines that beeped and hummed. He looked broken, but when Beak burst through the smoke, Taeho's eyes opened. And he smiled. The Wolverine did not attack anyone. He did not growl or snarl. He ran straight to the table and pressed his head against Taeho's chest. A sound came from deep in his throat. Not a growl, not a whimper. Something softer. Something like crying. Taeho's weak hands found Beak's fur. He held on with all the strength he had left. "You came," he whispered. "You really came." Su Bin rushed forward and started removing the tubes and wires. Hana cut the straps. Donghain stood guard at the door, his rifle ready. "Can you walk?" Hana asked the boy. Taeho tried to stand. His legs shook. He almost fell, but Beak pressed against his side, supporting him. Together, they took one step. Then another. They were leaving when Koru appeared. The Vela scientist stood in the doorway, blocking their path. He looked calm. Too calm. His silver eyes showed nothing at all. "You should not have come here," Koru said. "This facility is beyond Coalition space. Beyond any law. No one will help you. No one will know. We do not need anyone else," Hana said. "We found him ourselves." "Yes, the persistence is impressive." Koru tilted his head, studying them like insects. "But pointless. The boy has already given us valuable data. His species has such fascinating responses to stress and pain. The bond with the animal especially. We have learned much." Taeho's hand tightened in Beak's fur. The Wolverine growled low and dangerous. "You see?" Koru continued. "Even now, the beast would die for him. It is remarkable. Such waste of resources for mere sentiment. Imagine what could be accomplished if humans use this energy for something logical. Hana stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but sharp as steel. You want to know what sentiment accomplishes? It crossed the galaxy. It tracked through 30 systems. It broke into your hidden laboratory. It tore through every barrier you built. She pointed at Beak, who stood protectively in front of Taeho. That animal should be dead. His body has been failing for weeks. But his love kept him alive. His love brought us here. And now his love is going to walk out of this station with that boy. And there is nothing in this universe you can do to stop it. Koru opened his mouth to respond. He never got the chance. Coalition enforcement vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel all around the station. The story had spread too far. Too many people had listened. Too many had demanded action. The Coalition could no longer look away. The Volith laboratory was surrounded. Its secrets were exposed. Its crimes were revealed to the entire galaxy. In the chaos, Hana and her crew escaped with Taeho. Koru was arrested. The other prisoners were freed. The research division was shut down forever. On the Siarak, flying through safe space at last, Taeho lay in the medical bay with Beak curled at his side. Subin treated his wounds. Hana sat nearby, watching. "Thank you," Taeho said softly, "for coming for me." Hana smiled. "Thank your Wolverine. He did most of the work." Taeho looked down at Beak. The animal was asleep for the first time in months. His breathing was slow and peaceful. His body was finally resting. "He never gave up," Taeho said. "Neither did you." Months later, Taeho stood on the bridge of a training ship. He was taller now, stronger. The nightmares still came sometimes, but they were getting quieter. Beak sat at his feet. The Wolverine had recovered. His fur was thick again. His eyes were bright. He was no longer dying of grief. He was home. A young alien cadet approached him nervously. She had heard the stories. Everyone had. "Is it true?" she asked. "Did your Wolverine really cross the galaxy to find you?" Taeho looked down at Beak. The Wolverine looked back at him with those deep, knowing eyes. "Yes," Taeho said. "He did. But how? How did he know where to go?" Taeho smiled and put his hand on Beak's head. "He did not need to know where I was. He just needed to know that I was waiting. That is what family does. They find you. No matter how dark it gets. No matter how far you go. They find you." The cadet did not fully understand. But one day, she would. And somewhere across the galaxy, on trading posts in ships and distant worlds, the story continued to spread. The story of a little human cadet who vanished. And the Wolverine who crossed the stars to bring him home. It became a legend. A reminder. A warning. Humans were small. They were soft. They were emotional. But their love was the most dangerous force in the universe. And anyone who threatened their family would learn that the hard way.